it's Grace, and welcome back to Eternal Grace. I hope you're doing well today. Today, I want to remind you of something that I think we're all being reminded of in the current atmosphere, and that's that God moves fast. And sometimes He moves fast in His deliverance of us to this world, and it happens quickly and unexpectedly, but He moves fast as well in are getting or receiving something from Him. And so I want to encourage you with that word today, because I feel like a lot of us are in a waiting season. I don't know about you, but I'm waiting to get my own house, get my family. I'm married, but I really want kids. And those are the main two things that I'm in a waiting season for right now, because me and my husband are single. It's just us, and we live with my parents still to prepare for our future life. And so I'm in this waiting season, and it can be really tough to wait on the Lord. But David reminds us to twice in this verse, which I'm going to put here because I'm not remembering which one. I want to say in Psalm 37, but it was actually the verse of the day today, and that's why I want to share it with you, because again, when we're in a waiting season, it could be so hard to just trust God, because we can't really trust anyone in this life, right? Except ourselves. We can't expect anyone else to have our back, to be there for us, because people are selfish, sick, and wicked, as we all witnessed yesterday, right? And so we always feel like we have to look out for ourselves, because who else is looking out for us? But I want to remind you that God is looking out for you. He sees you, He has a plan for you, and whatever you are waiting on is worth the wait, okay? So I want to give you a few things to keep in mind while you're waiting, and then we're going to talk about how fast God moves. First and foremost, counterfeits will arise, okay? There will be faux opportunities to jump ship or to get in a new situation that might seem tempting, but most likely are not blessed by God, and you'll know because they don't really align with your assignment. For example, earlier this summer, immediately after I graduated from college, I got a invitation, actually 3 invitations in the same week, to go teach in New York. And basically it was like relocation assistance for this new charter school that was being established, and they wanted me to be there for English. But I didn't have any plans of entering the classroom, and I definitely didn't have plans of moving out of state. In fact, I'm purposely still in the home to support my little brother until he moves on to college. And so to get this invitation was like, because this isn't something I've been praying for. This is not aligned. If the Lord told me to stay home until my brother's gone and not to teach this year, why would I get an offer like that and be supposed to take it? That doesn't align with what He told me, right? And so you have to be conscious of the assignment that the Lord already gave you, because once again, a counterfeit will arrive and it will look tempting, right? Moving to New York with just my husband, having a little apartment together and living my best Sex in the City life sounds super fun. But that's not God's will for my life. And I know, because once again, we can vet these things by what He's already said and the assignment that He's already given us. So don't get impatient and just hop on the first ship that arrives. Wait for your ship, and you'll know, because the Lord will make it very clear to you. Second thing that can happen during the waiting season is, as I just said, you'll get impatient. Waiting is hard, right? And that'll make the counterfeits even more appealing to you, because you're building this impatience, right? Especially like right after graduation, I was really proud of myself. I was happy to be done. And it can get itchy sometimes living with your parents in close proximity, right? I'm 22 now, and we've lived together for 22 years. And so, especially now that I'm in my own marriage and we're our own little established household, sometimes it can be frustrating to live in close quarters with your parents, right? But that does not mean that it's time to jump ship. It means to stay where you are, let the Holy Spirit continue to prune you and grow into the new creation that is full of patience and can be grateful, because you can't move forward without gratitude. And that's number 3. You will get ruthlessly pruned, right? More so the longer your waiting season is, especially depending on what you're waiting for. And I told you, I'm waiting on my home and my babies, right? So those are kind of lofty goals. If I want a certain home and I want 5 babies, okay? That's no low number, right? Those are ambitious goals. Any goal that you have is ambitious, because it takes guts to go from where you are now to where you want to be. But you will get pruned because the Lord needs to build the version of you that can receive what you have, right? So that it requires you to be a good steward of what you have in the meantime and to take aligned action that you can take in the meantime. So practically for me right now, that means taking care of this room, my room in the home, right? Because I'm stewarding it. I may not have my full house yet, but this is my little mini space, right? And so I need to steward it accordingly, just like I would steward my home accordingly as a homemaker, right? And the same thing, if I want to be a mom, I have to steward myself into and allow myself to be pruned into the version that can be the mom that I want to be, that God needs me to be, that my kids will need me to be, so that I can serve them the best, right? And so it takes time to get pruned, and it's not necessarily fun, but it's incredibly necessary and incredibly rewarding, right? Because you're getting more aligned and you're becoming a new creation. So, anyway, those are 3 things that happen during the waiting season, and I'm telling you so that you can be expectant, because you have to be waiting expectantly. You have to know that the Lord is going to come through for you, right? I go on Zillow all the time to look at homes and like, oh, that's my dream home. No, that's my dream home, right? But I don't know how my husband and I are eventually going to be able to afford that mortgage. I don't know what kind of income streams we're going to build. I don't know how it's going to happen, like play by play. But I do know that I can be expectant because the Lord has promised these things to me. He's made them my dreams and my assignment. I know that I'm meant to be a homemaker and a mom. And so I can wait expectantly for those things to happen, because it's not all about right now. Right now is all we have, but you have to know that the Lord loves you enough to bring your dreams into fruition, because He would not have programmed you to have the dreams that you have if He didn't want you to go for that assignment. And if you need more help vetting these kinds of things, we can talk about in a different video, but that's my point. When you're in the waiting season, you can expect these 3 things, and you have to be on guard because the enemy will try to attack you so much during the waiting season, especially with counterfeits, right? Counterfeits are his whole game, because he can't create anything. He can't create, your dream or opportunities for you, but he can send counterfeits your way and hope that you oblige and hope that you wind up totally skipping your assignment because you settled for the counterfeit sooner. Does that make sense? Okay, so now I'm going to tell you a quick story and remind you how God moves so fast. And I want this to be something that can give you hope and uplift you, because yesterday happened really fast, right? Today's 9/11, and that happened really fast, right? But here is how God moves fast. And this can give you hope in your waiting season, okay? So today, my sister-in-law quit her job because her boss was posting things on the internet that endangered himself and everyone at the business, okay? So she did not feel safe to go to work because her boss was literally receiving death threats for what he had posted, okay? So she made the right decision, because no job is worth your life. And when you can see right ahead of going into work that it's going to be an unsafe environment, of course you have time and you have a moment to make the decision to opt out. So she chose, even though she didn't have another job lined up, even though 2 days ago she was loving this job, she had to remove herself from that situation. That took guts, that took courage, and it took faith, knowing that God would provide something else. So she called me at noon today to, crying, really in despair, talking about how she had to quit and how unsafe she felt and how unfortunate it was because she loved this job, right? We were on the phone for an hour, but not even 3 hours later did she call me again to say that the Lord had just blessed her with a job. An acquaintance saw what her boss had posted and texted her saying, "Hey, is this your boss? Is this what he's saying? Oh my gosh, do you have to quit? This is so unfortunate. But I know a place and you'd be a great fit. Let me send you the number." She gets immediately called in for an interview. It's basically just a confirmation that she's a great fit. She signs the onboarding paperwork and she starts Monday. That fast. Like, I'm so geeked because that can only be Jesus, right? She had downloaded Indeed when we finished our phone call earlier and was looking for new things. And I was, trying to give her some ideas, but none of them were really sticking because she loves what she does, right? She wants to stay in her field and not have to do something else just because, that's what's available. And so that is proof in 3 hours. It may not always be 3 hours. I'm not expecting keys to a mansion 3 hours from now. But know that God is moving and God goes ahead of you, right? He walks before you. He knew before my sister woke up this morning. I'm gonna cut that out. He knew before my sister woke up this morning that she was going to need a new job by the end of the afternoon. And he knew that the place where she got hired needed new people, right? So he arranged it all seamlessly and easily. And that's how he moves, because he is perfection. God is perfect, and his providence is perfect and sovereign, right? Even in the midst of the evil, like the horrible atrocity we saw yesterday, he is working, and he's working for you. When you are operating under his will, when you want what he wants for your life, when you want to serve and be used by him, he is aligning things for you, right? Because you're working for him. It's for the kingdom. It's bigger than you, but it's also so personal to you, right? And that is because our God is a good, good father. Chris Tomlin doesn't sing that for no reason. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. Now I'm loved by you. You remember that? You remember that from like 2010? Real. Clock that T. Our God is a good, good father. He holds our hand and walks with us, and he goes ahead of us and prepares the way for us. He is always with us, and he's always moving. So, I hope that brings you hope and joy today. It brought me a lot of joy and hope today, and on a day like today, and following a day like yesterday, right? I think we all need a little more joy and hope, and need to be reminded that God is still in control, because he is. He was in control yesterday. He was in control on 9/11, right? He's never not in control. The evils that occur in this world do not affect God's providence and his sovereignty in any way. It's just literally his graciousness allowing even the worst of us to experience free will, because that's the part of the gift that he gave us when he gave us life, because he gave us autonomy, right? So anyway, I wasn't even planning on talking about that today, but I was trying to figure out like what's tonally appropriate to talk about, because I've been kind of not super vibey today, and there's our chat. Thank you for being here. I love you, and Jesus loves you more, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.